everyone, this is Starzenith33, Laura Francesca here, and I am back. Okay, I've been gone for about, today is the 11th day since the last time I podcasted, which was on August 22nd. And so I've been under the weather. I caught some kind of, I don't know if it was a virus or something. I don't know. I'll talk more into detail as we jump in the podcast, but just wanted to jump back in now, where I am feeling so much better and I can speak so much better. That was one of the reasons that I was not podcasting, because I could not communicate. So anyway, I am back, and I am glad to be back. So I can talk to everybody. I've missed so much stuff that I wanted to talk about, but so much transits have been going on with the Astroweather and so forth. So anyway, let's jump in there and let's talk about it. Okay, so I've been gone for about 11 days, and on the 22nd was the very last podcast I did, and it had to do with our relationships with Juno and Pluto. Now, it was a podcast. You can go and re-listen if you want to listen to it. And it was about our relationships being tested. And a lot of us were going to drop relationships. We're going to cut off ourselves from certain relationships. It could even be platforms. And so, like, for instance, I put my ex account in privacy. I don't really use it. Only my followers that do follow me, can see those type of tweets. But I was not being so much active because I was just, trying to heal myself and so forth. And I just felt led to do that, to hide my account, because I felt a lot of eyeballs. Honestly, I did. I feel, I don't know. I mean, I haven't cut off X completely, but for right now, I'm feeling good because I feel with more privacy now. I feel the less eyeballs on me, and I don't have a problem with people staring at me or following me or nothing like that. I have a problem when I'm feeling negativity, okay, because that is the evil eye. Too many eyeballs, and a lot of them are not in a good way, And so I'm a positive person, and I always like to, put positivity out there, and I give a lot of content out there as well. But when I feel, I'm very empathic, so when I feel people's eyes on me and not in a good way, I start getting sick, because I could feel that energy, right? And so I don't know, I'm not pointing fingers at anybody or anything like that. But a lot of times when people do focus so much on you, they can send you, bad frequencies, and sometimes you gotta say, whoa, 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 and you gotta put a boundary on it, and either lock your account or just take a break, because I was feeling too much of it. I really was. And so it's interesting that I'm the only one that got sick in my household. My parents didn't get sick. I was the only one, which that was very odd as well. And I don't know, I must have caught something. I must have probably entered a store and it was, I don't know. It was just maybe not clean or something. I don't know what it is, because I tend to get sick right away because I have sixth house, and it's in Uranus. So Uranus is like the shocker, the unexpected, And if I'm in an environment that's not so clean and I enter a store and it's kind of dirty or something, even though it might not look dirty, but it picks up different type of frequencies of people that enter the store. Some people could be like homeless. Some people could like stink or something, these homeless, they don't take baths or nothing like that. And, or, it's just those kind of situations. The environment is very important. Especially if you're clean and you enter an environment that's not so clean, you can pick up their frequency and you can get sick. Okay, especially if you have sixth house in Uranus. It's like, oh my God, I can't believe I got sick for this. Like, why did this happen? Like, how did and so that happens to people with Uranus in the sixth house of health. Also Uranus in the 12th house. Like, I'm glad I don't have Uranus in the 12th house. I could handle sixth house, but not 12th house. 12th house, usually you end up in the hospital. Sixth house, you could also end up in the hospital, but it's not so strong as a 12 house. 12 house is where you have to stay there for a long time. Sixth house is like, okay, you got checked in. Okay, we're releasing you. We found nothing, and just take this medicine. We'll do it, whatever. That's an example of that. Well, that is what happened to me. Um, I went in. I had gallstones, and I went in the morning, and I didn't leave till like nighttime. But I was there like one whole day, but I thought I was going to stay there longer than one day, and no, they released me the same day. And they just gave me some medications and stuff like that. But yeah, thank God I didn't want to stay longer than that. So anyway, any type of frequency that's just not clean, like I just, I don't know. It was just so odd. I'm the only one that got this. It wasn't a bronchitis. It felt like it was bronchitis because my throat was in pain. It was like scratchy. It was very odd. I do have to say, I've never had it like this time. Like, usually you have the flu and you have the loogies, and the inflammation and the loogies and stuff. And usually when you have the flu, the loogies can get a little bit thick, you know, and that's why a lot of people take Mucinex, right? I'm not promoting Mucinex or nothing, but what the Mucinex does, it's the phlegm. It makes the phlegm thin. It thins out the phlegm. So that's why people take Mucinex, because that's what it's supposed to do, because the phlegm can be a little bit too thick and you got to spit all that out, right? Well, I did have some phlegm, but it was weird that it was not thick. you know, like normal flus. It wasn't thick. It was pretty thin. Now, that probably could have happened because I was taking a lot of olive oil. And it's the greatest thing ever. I did a research on olive oil because I heard a download of having to take olive oil. So I did a research and I found so much good stuff on olive oil, that it's even said it, okay, this was not ChatGPT. This was information through articles that I found online and so forth, that they label the olive oil extra virgin olive oil, and it has to be authentic. It is the same, it does the same thing that aspirin does, okay, and any name brand, ibuprofen and that we take, and that's what extra virgin authentic olive oil does. And I was like, wow, that's pretty crazy. And um, so I bought me a big old. I already had bought a big old bottle because I actually was taking it to lose weight, right? Because you can also it can stabilize your weight. And it's just good for so many things. Some people use it for their hair, for their face, for their skin, for anything. And but I started using it so I can lose weight and so forth, or just stabilize my weight. And also for heart health as well. I heard it's really good for heart health. And what billionaires do, okay, people with money, they take shots of extra virgin olive because a lot of people that are very wealthy, they take care of their health, okay? And so they do a lot of, that's why they say health is wealth, especially with Aquarius and Pluto. Aquarius and Pluto has to do with our health, has to do with experimenting this, experimenting that. It could be a product, it could be plants, anything out in nature, meditation, all of that that has to do with healing in the sign of Aquarius. And so, I just said, well, you know what, let me try this because, I've never taken consistently olive oil like I am today. But I did hear somewhere online, I think it was a video or something, where wealthy people, they take shots of olive oil every morning. When they wake up, they take a shot of olive oil, and to start out their day. And I was like, wow. And so it's good for everything. So if they're taking it, it's definitely good for us, right? And I just love all about like nutrition and wellness because I do have a lot of sixth house, and that has to do with being healthy and so forth. And that's one thing where I'm always investing a lot in health products and trying this and trying that and so forth. Um, so excuse me, let me drink some water. So I was chugging a lot of the olive oil, and I think that helped a lot for the phlegm to not be so thick. And little by little, it just started going away. And so this time, it was a really rare. Okay, this flu thing for me was really rare, and so I could not podcast because my throat was hurting. It really was. It was not just a scratchy throat, but it was a little bit painful, and I was like, oh, it better not be nothing worse, But thank God that it was not, and my voice started coming back. But it was not bronchitis. I know bronchitis because I've had it like 3 years in a row. And with bronchitis, like your voice goes hoarse, And my voice did get a little bit stronger, but um, it did get a little bit stronger, like very masculine. But it wasn't as bad as a bronchitis. When with a bronchitis, you really cannot talk. And I know the difference because I usually get bronchitis, and I had it for the past 3 years in a row, which is really odd too. Um, Around like February, March, around my birthday, I would get, or like Valentine's, and then my birthday falls in. That's when I would get every year. I got it for 3 years in a row. What a coincidence, right? But anyway, I digress on that. But now this time, I don't know. I caught something, and so I was the only one that caught it, and thank God though, because I can handle it. Older people, it's much harder for them to heal. And plus, they don't know like the latest things. Like for me, I do, you know, I heal myself. And I'm so proud of myself that I did not take medication or nothing like that at all. I just did it just naturally, like getting some sun outside, going out to nature, drinking a lot of water, eating healthy. And so for yesterday was the first time I ever ate anything like ever since I got sick. So um, I went to go eat me a boil bowl. And boil bowls are pretty healthy. They have beans and rice and chicken in it, so and some veggies. I didn't want to eat something so greasy or nothing like that. I'm trying to avoid fast food. And something surprisingly happened also. They screwed up the order and they gave me an extra bowl. So I just said, okay, thank you, Lord. There's more of this where this is coming from, right? And so I gave it to my mom. I just said, I'm just going to take it to go. I'll take the extra one to go. And I gave it to my mom and stuff because I was not about to eat no two bowls, right? So two bowls is too much food for me. I could barely, finish one bowl. And especially because I'm starting to eat again, and because I was taking a lot of soups, I was eating a lot of soups and stuff like that. And that's why I lost weight as well. And so it's good on the losing weight though, because I went back to my original weight, and I'm still trying to control my weight. So it would just kind of, I was a little bit bummed out about it because I'm like, this is my time for me to be raising my numbers. And I just find it weird when I thank people for supporting the podcast. The next day, boom, I get sick. As soon as I say thank you for supporting the podcast, your listenership matters a lot to the podcast, because that's how we grow and that's how we bring awareness, right? And the next day I got sick. So I'm just like, oh, well, I guess it comes with the territory, right? As soon as you're elevating, or, you got to protect yourself, because there's going to be people that don't want to see you elevating. There's going to be people that don't want you to either promote yourself or something, but too bad, okay? Because I'm somebody that never quits. I'm a Taurus rising. First of all, I'm bullish, okay? And some people even have called me bulldozer. I don't consider my bulldozer is like get out of the way and pushing everybody away. Like those videos that they have of these bulls. I'm not that bad, but don't think that you're going to control me. That's all I got to say. You can never control a Taurus. You can never control a bull. You can never. I don't care how much power you think you have, how much control you think you have. You will never ever control a bull. Okay, a bull controls you. Not only am I a Taurus rising, but I'm also an ox. Okay, and in Chinese astrology, and ox, it's like a buffalo. Okay, it's like a Taurus is a bull, and I am a water ox, so it's not so bad. I'm not like super controlling and want authority and stuff like that. When it's a water ox, you adapt to the water and you go with the flow. Um, so that's a good thing. But, when it comes to, my work, when it comes to, I will never quit, and I just keep going, you know. And so anybody that thinks that they could control me, or uh, or just keep me stuck, or block my work or whatever, like just give it up, because I will never give up on myself. I will never give up on my work. I will never give up in what I'm doing, especially what I'm doing is part of God's purpose. Okay, this is God's purpose, because I have a yod, um, to put out information, and plus I also have the same placement that Billy Graham had. Okay, if you don't know who Billy Graham is, okay, he was the evangelist around the world, and he gave advice to politicians, he gave advice to leaders, he gave advice. He was a Christian evangelist, and he gave advice to political leaders and powerful people, and not just them. It was about everybody, but he was known for going to the White House and praying in the White House, praying over presidents and so forth. So he left a legacy, you know. And I share the placement of the North Node in the ninth house of countries of your message around the world. I share it with him. I have it too. So I'm not saying I'm going to go out in stages and be like Billy Graham, right? But I can use, I am the microphone to the podcast of talking about um, what is going on with the frequencies around the world, and how it affects our finances, how it affects our health, what to look forward to, right? And so it is important to know all of this so you can strategize, right? See, I didn't expect this with this little minor sickness. I would say minor because I was not trying to make it into a big old deal, because then it can get into a bigger deal. Our minds can expand and can make it bigger than what it is. So I always kept telling myself, I am healthy, I am whole. I am healthy, I am whole, every day when I would wake up in the morning. Every time I would take a shot of the EVOO, I would say, I am happy, I am whole. And I think that helped a lot. I'm gonna say that helped a lot. Major, major difference. I would take it in the morning and at night. So I think that's what speed up the healing process as well. It was a lot of things that I did. Okay, not just the olive oil, but just drinking a lot of water and eating healthy and going out in nature. Maybe I needed to take a break, and closing X for a while, and I feel so at peace ever since I closed it, because I felt too many people were in my business, too many people were watching my work, and then they were creating their own content based on what I put. And it's like, no, get your own information, okay? Don't use me, or don't use whatever I say and then put it into content, because that's called copyrights, okay? That's called stealing, and you could get sued for that. But, sometimes now I'm just being more cautious of what I say, and locking the account has helped me to step back and put boundaries and not overshare or not overgive. And I'm glad I did that. I don't know when I'm going to open it. It's too early to open it right now. um but I'm in my best time right now, okay, because I'm having a Jupiter Pluto conjunction exactly at 4 degrees. So this is a time I'm glad that I recovered in this time, because now I'm going back in there. I'm not going to go like all hardcore, like, I'm just going at my own pace, and so, you know, it is what it is, right? I just have too many placements right now, honestly. I mean, too many transits right now, too many good transits, and it can be a little bit overwhelming because you don't know which one to do. Should I do this one? Should I do that? But the most powerful, the one that I have right now, is the Jupiter Pluto conjunction, which, that happens like once in your lifetime. This is why you know, people have a lot to say about me, and like, oh, if I was her, I don't know, or like, she's right now, she should be, putting herself out there. And I get it. Yeah, this is a perfect time for me, but my health comes first. My If without health, we don't have anything, right? And so I'm not trying to stress myself. Plus, also because I do have in my human design, which is, for those that don't know, human design is this frequency that has to do with your body. And in my human design, I'm not supposed to go really fast, and I'm not supposed to also be, I'm a manifester, so I manifest things into my life really fast. And I'm supposed to go more slower than other people, and that's how my body is made. And when I go too fast, I make mistakes. When I go too fast, I do sloppy work. When I go too fast, I'll crash. And it's about slowing down, because I don't work like a horse. uh, I am an ox. Taurus energy. I'm more about consistency and looking at the long view, and stability and so forth. But when I go too fast, then that's when bad things can happen. So, and anybody that's trying to pressure me into going faster, well, I'm not going to listen to that, because that's not how my body is made. There's a lot of combinations not just astrology, but also human design, and I combine all of it together, um, just to do the best decisions for me. And I had to take a break. I really did. And I'm back, but I'm not going, full throttle. I'm not going like really fast. I'm just doing what I can, what my body permits. And I'm still not 100% whole. I'm gonna say that, okay. I Good thing I'm not coughing or nothing like that, but I could still feel a little trickling in my throat, like, you know, um, just a little bit of trickling. Like you could feel like I have something in the throat, but I can talk, which is good. And it's gonna go away little by little, because I'm almost done with the EVOO, and I'm gonna buy me another olive oil bottle, and that has helped tremendously. Um, so let's jump in after I talked about all of that, which was a lot. Um, and I'm not trying to waste my energy in talking things that don't really matter. I mean, it matters for me, but I don't know. I just want to give an update with why I've been away from the podcast, because I love podcasting. I really do. I love to give information and to predict and so forth. But when you're under the weather or something's going on, then you just cannot, right? And maybe it's because God wants us to take a break. And I find that when I take a break, I get luckier as well for some reason. And that does have to do with my human design as well. So anyway, the moon right now just jumped into, let me refresh this. It just jumped into Aries, okay? Um, Aries here is at 1 degree, so double Aries right now. So it's a cardinal sign. Okay, so we are going to see, well, we're already seeing the Aries, it opposes Libra and then it squares off with Capricorn and Cancer. Okay, so we don't have much transits with, or nothing at all with Capricorn or Cancer, which is good. I mean, I have asteroids here, but we don't have planets in Cancer or Capricorn, which is a good thing, for the moon in Aries, okay, because it challenges it, it squares it. And there's nothing wrong with challenges. With challenges is how we grow. But, when there are challenges, it's kind of harder to heal. It's kind of harder to lose weight. It's kind of harder to get things done, because it's like, oh, now this popped up. Now we got to take care of this, right? And so it kind of delays, that's what challenges are, squares. They delay, and then you have to put action into that and fix that. And then after you fix that, then we can do this. And, when you have trines or conjunctions, they're much more easier. You don't have to worry about having to fix this. And, you can move ahead more faster, you know. Um, and so it's squaring Cancer and Capricorn, and it's opposing Libra. And we don't have nothing in Libra either. So it's good for the collective. But in your chart, that's why it's very important that you know your chart. In your chart, okay, you could have Libra, you could have Capricorn, and you could have Cancer. A lot of millennials have a lot of Capricorn, okay? They have that stellium in Capricorn. And and Gen Zs also, they have some Capricorn in there as well. Um, so in your chart, you could have Capricorn. I do have Capricorn. I have strong Capricorn in my chart. I have it in Mars in the North Node as well. So, when the moon's in Aries, it is challenging. It's not going to challenge it till um, probably, I would say, in 2 days, um, because I have a late degree of in my Mars in Capricorn. It's a late degree, so you got to wait till the moon gets closer to the 20 something degree. It's barely at 1 degree right now. So it just entered right now. But it is making challenges to, and not challenges, it is opposing where I have Libra. And, for those that have Libra, you know, it is opposing what you have in Libra, um, and it's challenging where you have Capricorn and Cancer. Okay. So these are cardinal signs, these are leadership signs. And when the moon is transiting a leadership sign, it is time to step up. Okay. It is time to, like for instance, today I did not want to get out of the bed. Um, because I'm trying to rest the body as well. But I did have to wake up early because I had to jump on a webinar. I didn't have to, but I wanted to, because it was very, very important for me to learn something brand new in astrology, that was going to be a game changing in my business. And um, even though it was just kind of like a little teaser, just kind of see, but it was good enough information for me to dive more into it, later on. But I just said I have to make an effort. I have to get up. And I did hear a download, because at first I was like, I put my alarm, right? And I heard a download because I was just like, God, I have to get up right now. Like I have to do the webinar. I have to go watch the webinar, right? And it's not that I did not want to. It was just that my body was just like, it wanted just to rest. Um, and I heard a download that said, "No, get up. It's important that you watch it." So I said, "Okay, I'm just gonna get up, right?" And I took a shot of olive oil, the first thing that I did, and prepared coffee and stuff like that, and some water. I had some water too, and I learned something brand new, which was so powerful. Um, about the timing, and like it's pretty much quantum leaping and finding the right time, to make decisions and so forth and take action. It's pretty much like taking a shortcut. A lot of people, what they do is they meditate, right? To have a quantum leap, you know. And a quantum leap is just like getting out of your body and going into a brand new body, um, but more as far as like frequency goes. I mean, you're still the same person, but your thoughts and your minds and how you've been programmed and how you've been raised and all of that, it's hard to um, let all of that go. Okay, and it keeps creeping back. You know what I mean? And it's hard to heal that. And the only way that you can quantum leap into a new version of yourself, a new identity, is you got to become someone different, right? And you do that by either changing your last name, changing your name, um, just changing, becoming a new identity in yourself. You don't do the same things anymore. You're doing different things. You're investing in yourself, you're learning, and so forth. And so, a lot of people, what they do is they meditate. They meditate, and it does work too, okay? But it takes a little bit longer. You got to meditate or hear affirmations. And, a lot of people with a lot of money, okay, they do early meditations. They wake up in the morning, and the first thing they do is they meditate. And so a lot of billionaires do that. They meditate, and they have these, like these incubators or something, and they go in there. They're like these eggs, kind of like these giant eggs, and they hop in there, and they go into their meditative state, you know, and then they exit that big old egg, and then they go back to work, and they function better. They're able to make better decisions and so forth. Um, but what if you don't have that kind of money to go inside an egg, you know? And that's where astrology comes in, okay? Because with astrology, is like you can check the timing of when is to do the best decisions, and when to take a break, right? And so it was a very empowering webinar. I, it's for me similarly. Um, I learned how to recharge. They're called Hori charts. Um, and I learned this. I took a course on that as well, and it was a short course, but of just how to understand the timing. So it was kind of similar to what I've mastered before, um, but it's more. I guess it's a little bit more popular. This other type of system, and but it's just imagine like knowing the best time to set an appointment with a client, the best time to see a realtor, the best time to get married, the best time to you know and that's all I can say about that. It was packed up with a lot of information, and I'm glad that I learned that today. Which I have been wanting to learn it, but I was just like, God, I don't know. My mind has uh, more space to learn anything more. It's not that I love learning. Okay, I got Saturn and Gemini. Okay, so Saturn and Gemini loves to learn, and Saturn and Gemini people know a lot. And I do feel that I know a lot of intense, deep astrology, but there's still a whole lot more that I can learn. And today I learned something new, you know. Um, and what I learned recently too on the mappings, I didn't know about the geodetic, and I learned that I'm open-minded, so I'm not gonna know everything. But I feel like sometimes when you feel like you know plenty, and then here comes something else, you know what I'm like, more to learn. So I'm open-minded, you know what I mean. I don't think there's anybody that knows everything. And I'm not trying to overwhelm myself either, because the way I feel right now with the transits that are happening for me, I have a lot of wonderful transits, and it could be overwhelming, because you don't know which one to do. You don't know which one to align yourself with. And I feel that also the same goes with information. When you know too much, well, should I do this type of chart? Should I do this type of chart? Should I do, and it can be overwhelming as well. But I'm all for information. I love to learn it and everything, but I'm not ready to like dive in and invest into something, especially right now. I'm just overcoming this, whatever this sickness, flu, because I was sneezing a lot too. Okay, I noticed. That's why I knew it was not bronchitis, because I was sneezing as well. And I'm not a sneezer, okay? I don't really get allergies like that. So I don't know what was going on, but I'm just glad I'm past it. And now, every day it gets better with my throat. So I just have to drink a lot of water. Mm. But it's yeah, it's going away. So the moon in Aries, let me check here. It's coming together with Neptune. Okay, so we have Neptune in Aries as well. Um, and Neptune is in retrograde, so this is has something to do with the past. Okay, Neptune also has healing abilities. Okay, especially in Aries, which has to do with anything to do with I said I'm getting some downloads, but I don't think I'm gonna say that. But Neptune in Aries, it just has to do with the past. It has to do with um, just healing abilities, um, with fire and light and so forth. So it is a great time to go out and get some sun, because sun is a light as well. Or invest in like ultraviolet light, which I do have for the house. When it gets too dusty, I pull my blue, purple, violet light for the home, and it just smells so much better. I don't know, like more clear the house, not so dusty and stuff. So that is good for like if you have allergies and so forth, or if you have pets and stuff. Also, since I always have my turtle running around, I want to make sure that the house is clean and so forth. Um, let's see here. The moon is opposing Venus. Okay. So Venus has to do with love. I think it's still in Virgo, right? Since um yeah, it's still in Virgo. It's at 26 degrees, okay, of Banks. So it's very the Venus in Virgo right now is very worthy, okay? At 26 degrees of banks, of money, of real estate, okay? Uh, all of that. So Venus rules luxury, but it's not in its best position there with Virgo, okay? And there is I think I said an opposition, right? Yeah, there's an opposition with Venus. So there's something about our emotions, okay, in Aries that has to do with taking action that is opposing. Venus and Virgo can be all about work. Like you should be working, you should be doing this and this, you should be doing that. And so the moon in Aries right now is more like, well, I'm going to do it when I'm ready. Um, I don't feel that I should be working my tail off. I need to be resting. Um, but I'm putting effort. It's not like I'm not. But I'm not gonna go all hardcore like that, especially when I'm just recovering. You know what I mean? And there are gonna be people, they're gonna be critics and what they feel that I should do and so forth. But that's just their opinion, because they're not me, right? My body was built different than their body, you know, and not everybody works the same way. Okay. Um, so the moon is making a trine to Jupiter, so that's a good thing. Jupiter's in Leo, the moon's in Aries. They're both fire signs. Okay, it is a great time also for healing. Okay, if you've been under the weather, um, also for luxury and so forth. The moon also is making an opportunity with Uranus. Okay, Uranus has to do with the unexpected. It is in Gemini. So they both get along. There's an opportunity there to innovate. Okay, there's an opportunity there to make a change. Um, and I did talk about the moon also coming together with Neptune. Okay, the moon also is making an opportunity with Pluto. So the moon's getting along pretty well. It's just it's not getting along with Venus and Virgo. Okay. Um, Maybe Venus and Virgo is a little bit too perfectionist or expects more work out of you or something like that, right? But you got to make your own decision, right? And there needs to be an understanding when you need to take a break, okay? And, when your body's like, okay, let's jump back in there now, you know? Um, there is an opportunity between the moon and Juno, so they're getting along very well. Juno has to do with the asteroid of marriage. Um, let's see here. Mm. And the moon is also trining the lot of fortune, okay? The lot of fortune is in Leo. So we have a really, really great transit right now of Jupiter conjunct part of fortune with vertex in the sign of Leo. So there is something about luxury and wealth and something faded, okay? And it has to do with the ninth house. Let me double check here. No, Jupiter's in the eighth house. So eighth house is of transformation in the sign of Leo, okay? It also has to do with it has to do anything with finances, spiritual matters, legacies, contracts, taxes, inheritance. Which is so interesting because that Italian actor, I think from The Sopranos, he recently passed away. The eighth house is not just transformation, but it's also death. So, you know, when you're probably old enough and you pass away and so forth, or some sort, that is where Jupiter is at. So there could be Jupiter rules celebrities. Okay, it is the ruler of Sagittarius and Pisces. So that's why it rules celebrities, and that's why a lot of people think Sagittarius and Pisces tend to be lucky. They get like breaks, and they get good breaks, and they just are perceived to be lucky people. And this is why it rules actors and celebrities here with Jupiter. So we could be seen at the eighth house. We could start seeing celebrities passing away. Okay, there could be Italians passing away because they're ruled by Leo, and in Italy, Leo crosses through there. Okay, so this is why a lot of Italians are known. Like a lot of them have egos, and that's their nature. That's their culture. How they are. You know, um, a lot of them don't even think they have egos. A lot of them just think we're just confident. That's just how we are. We're just straight out, and we're just confident, and but other people perceive them of like having too much big of an ego. Um, but that's naturally they don't think that. That's naturally how they are. So that's because Leo crosses through there in Italy. But Jupiter in the eighth house can be maybe passing away of and what happened in Italy also. When there was an earthquake, I don't think people passed away. Let me just see if, because I think I looked at it yesterday. Italy earthquake. I don't know if there were deaths. They were injured. Okay, says dozens injured as earthquake hits near Naples in seismic swarm. At least 26 injured. 300 evacuated after 4.7 magnitude earthquake in Italy. Um, it says Italy's Campi Flegrei shaken by strongest earthquake in 40 years. Italy earthquake, 10 people injured in Campi Flegrei. Okay, so there's um um when was this one? Oh no, this was 2016. Um so nobody died. It was just people were injured. Okay. It was not a big earthquake, but it was 4.7. Okay. Um and I mean, but 26 people did get injured. Okay, and 250 were evacuated um out of that area in Italy there. So, um you know, it's interesting as we're having a Saturn retrograde in Aries as well. That has to do with the rubble, and it has to do with earthquakes. And Aries, is ruled by Mars, so it has to do with like fire, and it has to do with um, literally just destruction and so forth. Mars has to do with vehicles, and a lot of vehicles were smashed in Italy as well. And I was like, oh my God, that is totally Saturn Aries retrograde. When I seen a picture of like two cars that were smashed by a big old rock that was right on top of it, that big old rock is Saturn, okay? And the vehicles, that's Aries, where these vehicles were smashed, right? Maybe it pertaining something to the past. Um, so I could not believe it looked like it was a big earthquake, but good thing is that nobody passed away. So, that's a good thing right there. But there's something that is being exposed in something that's being exposed with Leo, okay, with Jupiter. So the part of fortune is something that's faded, okay? Vertex is faded events, faded themes, like something that had to happen in the eighth house. Wow. Um, and I'm just looking at it just now, like, wow, that's very interesting there, especially because the vertex in Leo that has to do with faded themes and situations, faded situations that are going on, is creating a challenge to Chiron and Taurus. Okay. Chiron and Taurus has to do with land, it has to do with earthquakes. And where we have Chiron and Taurus is in the fifth house of celebrities. That's interesting. I just kind of joked around, but I seen online that J Lo was traveling through Italy, and she was traveling through Italy like days before the earthquake. I think like 4 days before the earthquake. I don't know if 3 or 4 days. I think she was traveling when the moon was in Aquarius. Um, and it just got off. The moon just got off Pisces, and now it's in Aries. But since the moon, it transits every 48 hours. So most likely when she was traveling through Italy, the moon was in Aquarius. Um, so it was opposing her Leo, and but she took a chance and she went to Italy. I find that when she goes to Italy, she's trying to heal something because she has Chiron crossing Italy. And so she goes there to heal, you know, maybe to feel elevated, or maybe if she goes through a breakup or something, she'll go to Italy. If she needs some kind of healing, she'll go to Italy. And you'll see her there traveling all the time. Um, that's how she gets her healing, right? In Aries. Um, but what's happening right now is that there's something faded in the sign of Leo, um, something transformative or an ending. And I kind of just joked around and said, did J Lo cause the earthquake? I was just joking around, okay? And and it kind of seems like she did, looking at the astrology, right? Because she is a Leo, and there was something fated about her going there, and bringing a challenge to Chiron and Taurus. I don't know. I was gonna say Uranus, Um, well, that Uranus in Gemini that's happening for the collective right now, it's on her Venus. That has to do with luxury. It has to do with beauty. It has to do with money. And so, there's something about the Uranus on her Venus, um, and then making a challenge, you know, with all this. I'm not going to go into her chart, but um, there's something that is challenging her worth in Italy. So anyway, here the vertex in Leo is making a challenge to Chiron and Taurus for the collective in the fifth house of celebrities. That's why I said if and I was just kind of joking around, because um, but there's something fated that's going on right now, not just pertaining to Italy, okay, but there's something that's fated going on with Leos that is bringing a challenge to some healing in Taurus. That has to do with Hollywood. It has to do with um, taking a chance. It has to do with children as well. Um, and it's a challenge, okay? Something pertaining to Leos and Chiron and Taurus. Okay, it could be real estate. It could be land. It could be beauty. It could be. It's at 0 degrees of all or nothing, and so is Vertex too in Leo. So it's interesting because Chiron and Taurus is a lot about earthquakes. It's a lot about female situations, um, land, real estate, all of that. And that's what's happening right now. So some people, you don't have to be a female. You could be a male. You could be a Taurus. And you're getting some challenges that feel faded at this moment in the sign of Leo. It has to do with leadership, or maybe you're just not getting along with the Leo, you know, or something pertaining to that where you have to heal in how you take chances, and maybe you can't partner with that Leo anymore because it's too risky. And that's what I kind of feel, just joking around. I said, did she cause the earthquake? It seems that her frequency brought some sort of challenge to Italy, you know, and a lot of it because of these squares that we're having right now, and we're about to enter that eclipse in Leo. Okay, it's coming up in the month of August. This month is jam-packed with a lot of things going on. This is why I had to jump back in the podcast and kind of just talk about the energies and what is going on. And so that's what's going on right now. Just know that there's going to be a lot of people taking action, but um, it's going to come with challenges as well, especially if you have Capricorn, Cancer, or Libra. Okay. There's going to be things that this moon in Aries is going to do, and it's up to you what you want to do, and how it affects you in your chart, right? Let me see here. Also, I'm looking a lot of these challenges with the moon in Aries. A lot of these challenges are happening in money asteroids, okay? Like Moni, I think, actually, let me look at some of let me just name one of them. Um, okay, the moon is squaring Ceres, so that has to do with abundance, okay? Um, the moon is squaring Midas, which is the Midas touch. Like anything you touch turns to gold. Okay, it's challenging that. That moon in Aries is squaring silver. Okay, for those that invest in silver and so forth. The moon is also challenging. I mentioned Moni. Moni has to do with big money. Um, it is also challenging Rico, which is rich Italian. Um, it is and that's it there, but those are some asteroids that involve money, and it's there's a challenge there. Okay, how to come up with money, how to get paid, how to um, you know and all of that. So that's what's to be expected in the next 48 hours. The moon's going to be in Aries. We might feel more action to take action. um but yeah, to take action. But understand right now, with um, the moon in Aries, is going to come together with Saturn. Okay, it's not conjuncting it yet. Okay, because Saturn is at 14 degrees of Banks, so the degree is too far to come together with the moon in Aries, but it's on its way. Okay, so when the moon and Saturn come together, there might be this control, there might be this, especially if you want to get a loan, there might be, I don't know why I'm hearing the word recession. Recession is coming through. Something about a recession. I don't know. So the moon and Saturn coming together, it's going to happen later on today or tomorrow. And as it gets closer, let me see here. I don't think this has the ability to do that, but um, no, it's not showing here. But that's what's going to happen. The moon's going to come together with Saturn, and there might be some strict rules, having to obey the law, something pertaining with money. Okay, something pertaining with money. Um, so just pay attention to that. Let me see what Saturn is doing. What kind of challenges it's doing over here. Uh, let's see. Oh, okay. So when the moon comes together with Saturn, is going to square Pholus in Capricorn. So Pholus in Capricorn is a domino effect. It's like what happens to one, it happens to everybody. And it has to do with business matters. It has to do with what's hidden, um, the type of business practices that are happening, and is bringing a challenge here because it could be that Saturn in Aries, something is being exposed. And I do have to say right now, if you're in Aries or you're a leader, because it's in retrograde, okay, because it's in retrograde, things are being exposed, okay? Things are being exposed, and of your dirty handlings and what you do, and so forth, and especially pertaining to business in Capricorn. Um, if you have like major millions coming through and so forth, um, something can come out of that, okay? And Saturn in Aries is exposing it in retrograde and having you fix it, it's in the fourth house of real estate. So there could be an Aries that has been doing shady dealings when it comes to real estate. Okay? Something to do with the past. It's like they haven't learned their lessons, They keep doing the same thing over and over and over. It needs to be investigated. It needs to be talked about. And it's bringing a challenge to businesses, is bringing a challenge to how you operate your business, okay? Um, it is, you know, it could bring problems to other business leaders. It could bring problems to men. It could bring problems to the government as well. Um, and it's this is a big placement here. Okay, this could bring like war stuff going on. Okay, because of what you've done in the past, and it's coming up to be reviewed. And it's kind of like when a case has been shut and then it gets reopened, like let's reopen the case, let's reopen this contract, let's look at this contract. So a lot of those themes are happening right now with Saturn in retrograde, where a lot of leaders, a lot of people with money, a lot of Aries, they're getting exposed for putting their hand in the cookie jar, you know, and not doing the right thing. Okay. So that is just something to think about. Okay. I think they're getting a lot of karma. Saturn rules karma. Okay. It does. It rules timing and history and karma. Okay. And if you have been doing things in the past, if you did do things in the past that you were not supposed to, then you're going to get caught without a doubt. Okay. So anyway, this is what we have for today. Is not one of my best episodes, to tell you the truth. I just wanted to do an update. I just wanted to do an update. And now that I sound better. I sound a little bit more feminine. I sounded like a horse. Okay, I was not able to talk at all, but thank God, God is good, and I got my voice back, and I'm able to talk to you guys, and just warn things and to watch out for, and it's a movie playing out right now. Okay, when it comes to Saturn in retrograde, um, if it's not strong, it's gonna break. Okay, it's like a bridge. If the bridge is not strong, it's gonna break. And so, yeah. So anyway, I hope you guys have a great day. If you guys did like it, do like, share, subscribe, tell your friends and family. And I just want to say that I appreciate everybody that is listening to the podcast, because I do look at the algorithms, and I look at how the podcast, is growing, and so forth. And before I got sick, I did mention that I was thankful, and I'm thankful. I continue to be thankful for everybody that listens to it, because the more we grow, the more awareness we put out there. Okay. So this is Laura Francesca here at the podcast, and I will talk to you soon.